like that. guys, y'all ready to get started? Thank you. Thank you for fighting traffic and being patient. Have a little bit of a late start because I got here late. But we're going to go over some sponsors, talk about some giveaways, and start the presentation. So I want to go over our first sponsor. Hide.me is a sponsor that accepts Bitcoin as they're a VPN service. They have nodes all around the world, servers that you can VPN into. So instead of tying a credit card to your VPN service, you can be a little bit more anonymous. I've been using them for years, and they've been a really good sponsor for us. Gino's Classic Barber, it's the first barber shop in Atlanta to accept Bitcoin, so you can go there to accept Bitcoin, and they'll even give you a big enough discount to where the Bitcoin fee isn't as big of a deal. Bitcoin Depot, they have the most BTMs or Bitcoin ATMs in the Atlanta area. If you go to Coin Radar, you can kind of see where the closest one to you is. Tyrion, they're a company that focuses on proofs and hashing data and putting that into public blockchains like Ethereum and Bitcoin, and kind of using that as a third party to for audit reasons, compliance, and all sorts of reasons. And you can prove when things happen by who. The next two sponsors we have representatives here to talk about. So Priority Payments. Brandon, are you here?
Hey everyone,
Yeah.
How's it going? So I actually work for Priority Payment Systems. We're merchant processing, so we do credit card processing. I know it's kind of opposite of what we all are talking about today, but we still use credit cards in the real world, so if you want a good rate, you could talk to me after.
And I'm Nathan Ebinger. I'm the co-founder of Verity, and we do digital crypto asset and assurance and auditing right now. And we're working on ICO in the next 2 months. So if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me.
Verity Coin?
I think Vericoin.
Vericoin, okay.
You caught up by the fish, bro.
So I appreciate our sponsors. We provide free stuff, and eventually we're going to be doing maybe conferences even, and paying for all kinds of cool stuff. So I appreciate all the sponsors and small donations, big donations. Up next, ThoughtWorks. So thank you for our venue, ThoughtWorks.
So my name is Derek. I run the Atlanta office of ThoughtWorks. For those who don't know who we are, we're a software consulting company. 4,000 people globally. We've been doing it for 25 years. Everything we do is custom development. Anybody who's got the Delta mobile app, that's one of ours. So we're excited to work here and be here. We're here to learn, and if you guys need any consulting, just thought leadership on the software side, we're happy to share with you. We've got copies of the technology radar up here. It's something that we put out twice a year. It gives our points of view on techniques, tools, anything related to software, and it can give you a sense of what should I be trying to use or what should I move past, and it just gives you a good sense of how we think about technology. And I'll have business cards around, so feel free to buzz me. And again, thanks for allowing us to be a part of this.
Thank you. So I don't know if you want to talk about.
Thank you to all of you for coming out. My name is Enrica, and I'm part of the leadership team here with Mike Tidwell, Casey, who's sitting right here. I wanted to tell you guys that we're doing a giveaway today for a conference called All Things Open, which is in Raleigh. And we're asking all of you to sign your names, please, because according to the name sheet, we are going to be giving away tickets. So please register over there at the table.
And just another word on All Things Open. It's one of my favorite conferences, and that's why I'm giving away free tickets to it. They have a blockchain track, but not only is there a blockchain track, they, these are where like all the developers from all the great open source projects come, like the people really making the stuff, like Apache X and your new functional programming languages, and these are the people really coming together. The tickets are really cheap, but still. We're giving away 4 tickets, and also if you're not one of the lucky ones to get one of the 4, there's a 30% discount code that I've worked out with the person running the event, so that's free for all of us to use. And this is in Raleigh, so if you win one of the tickets and can't go, you can maybe give it to someone who can. So, and then we got Bug.
Yeah, there's another conference that is going on in Atlanta, Bug. They actually have two tracks. There's the develop track and business track. Is there anything else, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, these people kind of approached us and were like, we'll give you 10% of all the profits of the conference to the meetup group. They'll make that donation, so we'll see if they make any money, and then we'll spend it for us. And hopefully that works out. I just want to give this opportunity because I know a lot of people are trying to get into Ethereum development, and they're pretty much the workshops for Ethereum. The business track is probably more like high level, what a blockchain is and how you can use it for business. I'm not really sure about, this is the first time obviously I've talked to these people, but I just want to give a shout out, and they've also said they'll make a donation to the profits. So I'm optimistic about that. So, and that's a blockchain user group. And I have an event on the meetup page for October 10th. If you want to get more details about that, you just go to the meetup page and go to the calendar, look for October 10th.
What's the fee?
That's pretty steep, like 500 or so. So, yeah. But this one is like going to be like more like $150 or less with the 30% discount. This one's going to be about 500 or you can look at the pricing on there, but just to give you a ballpark. What else we got? Shapeshift. A few words about your raffle before we get going.
My name is Emily. I'm head of marketing with Shapeshift, and Kent is also on our marketing team. And we're really psyched to be here tonight. Thanks for everybody coming out to listen to Raine speak. We have brought a few items that we're going to do a giveaway at the very end. So we have, about a month ago, we acquired a hardware wallet company called Kiki. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but we've got 2 of them here tonight. So we'll be doing a drawing for 2 Kikis, as well as we have some socks, some beer mugs, some etched beer mugs, a few little goodies here and there. So what we're going to do is, if you have business cards, just drop them in this bag. If you don't, you can write your name and email on this little piece of paper, just drop it in. And then at the very end, we'll do a drawing for that. Also, we've got some
Can we use that same bag for us too? That might be a good idea for our ticket giveaway too. So.
Of course. Drop them all in there.
Yeah.
Also, I've scattered some stickers kind of around. There's some here, some at the pizza table. So those are just up for grabs. And then we hope that you guys will all stick around afterwards. I think that there's going to be a after party at Tap, right?
Yeah.
So
After party, Mike.
at
Tap, a gastropub.
Across the
Yeah,
street.
so just cross the street, and we're all gonna head over there too, so we'd love to talk, move the conversation over there as well, but, anyway, if you have any questions, let us know, but we're just gonna start passing it around, so just make sure if you're at the very end, that you just pass it back and keep it going.
And just one more quick announcement. If you don't know who Jeffrey Tucker is, he's right here in the back, the most well-dressed man I've ever seen. He's going to be a speaker at Bitcoin Atlanta, which is run by Rich, and that's going to be at the Prado, 5 seasons at the Prado. So Jeffrey Tucker, great Bitcoin speaker. He's been in the space longer than most people here. So just want to give a shout out that
Monday.
Yeah, this Monday.
Coming
so
Monday.
yeah, this coming Monday.
Thanks,
so thanks. Yeah, thanks for the.
What's the topic?
Yeah.
What's the topic of the event?
Liberty.
Blockchain is the foundation of a new civilization.
And of course, our speaker that is here tonight, who all of you guys came here to see, Raine. She's the lead engineer for Prism, which is an application of Shapeshift. She'll be talking about development and all of Prism. Raine, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Raine Revere. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for coming. This is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm going to hopefully have your attention for the next hour. There's going to be times for questions, and I'm going to share with you a lot of what I've been contributing to in the last year and a half that I've been working intensely in the blockchain space as an architect. My work with Shapeshift has been a really powerful experience for me, and I've been able to do a lot on the Shapeshift team, and I've had opportunities to speak at events like DevCon, and it's really just my favorite thing. So thank you so much for having me. Thanks everyone. Special. So I want to say, like, I've done a few of these talks, and I love the community here. There's a lot more diversity here, and to me that means that you've got a lot more voices and a lot more kinds of intelligences that you get to bring to blockchain and bring to the table. So I see that, so I want to tell you that I see you, and thanks for being here. Special thanks to all the women who are here. I'm a trans woman. I'm really lucky that I get to do this work, and people respect me for the work I do. And women in tech have often been a minority, so thank you to the women who are here. Really glad you're here. Definitely approach me, tell me about your story, what it's like being in tech. So I am the lead architect of Prism, Shapeshift Prism. So this is Shapeshift's new product. We're in a closed beta right now. I'm also the co-founder of a company called Maiden, which is all about diversifying blockchain and doing so through empowering women and people of color and trans and queer people through education. But I'm here to talk about Prism, and basically I'm going to describe Prism as a product, but what I really want to say, like setting it up, this isn't just about Prism. This is about decentralizing the web. Prism is an example of that. It's a dApp, it's a trustless application, and I'll talk more about what that means. And Prism is similar to what a lot of people entering the blockchain space have had a vision about, which is what if we can create these products where the intermediaries don't profit so much at our expense, and what if we can create products where the end user is in control of their data and security is not up for grabs. So just understand that I'm talking about Prism as a means towards us having a really rich conversation about blockchain. And I'm really lucky I can do that because I come up here and I say whatever I want to say. Shapeshift is great and supports me in doing that. I don't have a script. It's just me sharing my passion. There will be lots of time for questions, and I want to make sure that we have time for everyone to be able to get involved. So the decentralized vision, right? This is like the ideal that a lot of us are inspired by in blockchain, and that's the realization. Maybe you've all had this moment at some point. I had this moment. It was not when I found out about Bitcoin. I was like, that's silly. That's money that's on a computer. I don't care about that. Then I learned about what blockchain was, and then I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And so this decentralized vision is recognizing that the blockchain technology allows for the consensus process to agree, that we can all agree on some shared set of data, right? So in a sense, blockchain is just a decentralized decision-making process and some kind of decentralized storage, some way to have a shared set of data. And that turns out to be a really powerful idea. So the decentralized vision is what brings a lot of people here. And the motivation for it is that the intermediaries, all the middlemen, are too trusted and are extracting too much value for that trust. So I'd just like to point out, I'm of the belief that the intermediaries aren't evil. They're just part of a system that exists that is providing service to end users, but it has built up over time, and we tend to take it for granted that there are large institutions that provide these services for us, that secure our data for us. And over time, we've seen a lot of breaches of trust and a lot of problems with that, just the growth of certain institutions and corporations to hold a massive amount of wealth. And so it starts to bring attention, like, why do we have these intermediaries? Why do we pay them so much? And my claim is that it's not like it was a mistake or that they're evil. It's just it was the technology we had at the time. Institutions allowed us to conduct transactions with people outside of our social circle. And so in order to conduct transactions with people on the other side of the globe, we need some kind of institution to trust and to secure that interaction. with blockchain, it's the first time that that trust can be secured by technology and by cryptography instead of an institution. So to me, this is what's driving all of this. Disintermediation is the key word that I use. That blockchain is really about removing those intermediaries or minimizing them, replacing intermediaries from large institutions down to thin technology where the security is provided through cryptography. And the result of this is that costly intermediaries create a high barrier to entry and inefficient wealth management. Right? Collectively, there's a lot of wealth and it gets transferred, it gets moved around, and if we're losing a lot of that wealth to the intermediaries, then as a whole, it seems like that's not the most efficient way to go about this. Okay. So just again as like a definition of what blockchain is, I know a lot of you all here know about blockchain or maybe working with it, but still, just to get back to its essence of it, the key to blockchain is to use decentralized consensus to verify shared data. So that consensus process is what the blockchain technology enables, and you're verifying some shared data. And it's helpful. I use Bitcoin and Ethereum as examples. Those are the top blockchain technologies right now. Most of my engineering experience is with Ethereum. So how do these compare, and how do Bitcoin and Ethereum use blockchain technology? What's the relationship between that? Well, I just mentioned that the key to blockchain is about this decentralized consensus, right? Not relying on a third-party authority to verify data using a decentralized process where no one person is in charge, but collectively we can verify this data. And that's some kind of shared data. So how do we differentiate Bitcoin from Ether? Well, Bitcoin uses that decentralized consensus process to verify transfers of value. Right? All of Bitcoin, in a way, is just recording on the blockchain that I sent you this amount of Bitcoin, and you sent that person some amount of Bitcoin. And as long as we keep track of all of those transactions in a public, decentralized, transparent way, and it's verifiable without a central third party, then we now have a global currency. And so the transfer of value, that's what Bitcoin is. That's the shared data. So Bitcoin, I like to call it a really successful proof of concept. Very good that we learned that it was possible to have this decentralized network, and it applied it to something very useful, which is transfers of value and actually all the properties of currency, fungibility and a fixed supply. So Bitcoin does that with transfers of value, and Ethereum does it with anything. And what I mean by that is anything, any computation, any value, any variable, any transaction, not just a transfer of value, not just money, but a record in a supply chain of where something came from, or a piece of hardware that generates a token for solar panels that generate electricity, or putting your marriage license on the blockchain. So any piece of data, Ethereum verifies it through decentralized consensus. Okay, so Ethereum is a more general version of Bitcoin, and that was an amazing insight to think, how big can we make this? How general can we make this? It's not just an application of currency, but it's actually something that we can do with any amount of data. So that's really key to understanding blockchain, is seeing that this is the full potential of it. And I'm not saying Ethereum is the best blockchain, or that it's the only option, but there's lots of implementation details, right? And Ethereum has scaling issues just like anybody else. There's lots of implementation details, but Ethereum, it shows you that vision. It says, yeah, if we put a Turing-complete language within a decentralized consensus process, then we can verify any data and any transaction and do so without a third-party authority. Okay, so Ethereum really shows us how big this can be. And reliance on these third-party institutions has resulted in data being less secure, like the recent hack of the credit reports. There we go, Equifax. I mean, millions and millions, hundreds of millions affected by that. So security, when we rely on third parties, is affected. And then so many institutions in the modern digital age are profiting off of our data. So even if they keep it secure, they're selling it. And even if their partners keep it secure, they're selling it and they're profiting off of it, right? I don't know. Anybody know I don't know, so I'm asking, anybody know how much Facebook makes per user on average daily?
$13.
Yeah. Maybe something like that. What? How much?
$4.65 a month.
$4.65 a month. Whatever the amount is, Facebook makes money off of every user they have through advertising and through selling data. And Google is in the ad business as well. So these internet companies that are become part of our lifestyle and that have millions and now billions of users, they have a business model that's based on the fact that they have control over our data and they get to profit from our data. So that's something to keep in mind. There's the security, there's who gets to profit from this, and in all of the ecstasy of the internet that we've had for not even 30 years now, in all of that ecstasy, we've kind of forgotten where the power has gone. And I think if you look at the history of the internet, you'll see that there was a lot more idealism, and we've actually lost a lot of that. So you're all here, so you know how exciting blockchain is, and that it is about re-envisioning an internet that has more, that's more democratic and less prone, let's say, to centralization of power and the risk involved. So that brings me to Prism. Prism is a product that I helped develop, and Prism is a portfolio market, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But before I go into that, maybe just kind of a brief pause here, and before I talk about Prism, what's on people's minds? Any questions or any thoughts, just as I'm introducing this idea of the decentralized vision of blockchain? Yeah?
What do you think of Jamie Dimon's comments yesterday?
I don't know. I don't know who that
I
is.
think he's
There you go.
Question over here.
Comment about the initial idealized vision of the internet,
Uh-huh.
and I think probably everybody in this room at least would agree that did not come to fruition. Do you think, and if so, if yes, why do you think that blockchain is not going to end up in the same place? In other words, the utopian vision will or will not be realized.
Hey, Raine, if by any chance, if you want to, you have a live audience as well. If you want to try to summarize the question back.
Absolutely.
So
I will repeat the question.
Yeah. If you want.
So that's a great question there about why, like, what do I believe that it's possible that blockchain can realize some of the unrealized vision of the early internet, and if so, why? So I'm personally of the belief that it's not likely that there's going to be a total radical change, total revolution. There's just too many. We're in a global community, and I think that there's an entire ecosystem which includes individuals and includes large institutions. But I think that the force of decentralization will create reform. So I think it'll force institutions to become more transparent, and it'll create more competition, and users will have more options. And the reason for that is that any work that's done on the public blockchain is inherently public and transparent. Right? The internet's not like that. You can't look on Facebook's server and know what's there or verify these things. Turkey's done. So yeah, I'm of the opinion that reform is likely to happen, and that's still a great thing. You know, we can work towards reform, work towards revolution, but I think whatever it is, the technology inherently is going to create more transparency and force institutions that haven't done that all along to conform. Yeah, what else is on people's minds? Yes?
Well, I know you're going to talk about Prism, I'm not
Uh-huh.
really familiar with it, but I was just wondering what, if any, aspect of it is relevant to real estate contracting and land title protection.
Yeah,
is
that's a
that
good
part-
question. That's a good question. I think that's probably a domain specific thing about real estate, so I don't have any comments on that, but maybe we can talk afterwards about that application. Auditing, property ownership, blockchain can do a lot of those things. I think the biggest hurdle there is how do you bridge the blockchain world with the traditional world for that kind of thing.
Oh, you said something about like Ethereum, like you could put real world information on that blockchain. Like, could you do a Bitcoin, or like how would it differ between the two?
Well, I mean, Bitcoin is just a more specific application.
Yeah.
It has a very rudimentary language, but for the most part, Bitcoin is a currency.
Yeah.
And there's some, you can do multi-sig and things like that. I think you can even build smart contracts on it, but I never went down that route because Ethereum was built as a platform. So really think of Bitcoin as infrastructure, right? It's a huge amount of infrastructure. The fact that we have BTMs in the city, like that's a huge amount of infrastructure that's thanks to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin provides infrastructure and global currency, and Ethereum provides a platform that allows us to develop things on top of that. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, this is really specific, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on Ethereum plasma.
I don't know what that is either. Yeah. I know. I have this sad thing. I'm like too busy. It's ironic. I'm too busy writing smart contracts to like read what's going on half the time. Yeah.
How about all the so many ICOs? Do you think some of them will bring bad reputations to the community? There's so many ICOs and not all of them actually. Is this something the community should be worried about?
Yeah. Okay. Question about ICOs. And like the reputation they're created. This is a rabbit hole, so I'm not going to talk about ICOs right now. I'll just say that we're in some kind of bubble, right? It's people aren't doing their due diligence. People are raising millions and millions of dollars, and blockchain's not going anywhere. It's all going up. It's all going up. But we might be in a bubble, and people might be engaging in riskier financial behavior than they should. Yeah.
Sure, this is maybe a bit broad, but what do you think kind of piggyback on this last question, what do you think the net effect of this crazy will be on the opportunity that blockchain has to be something, right? It's like, could this really impact the long-term potential of blockchain, because it's going to obviously attract the attention of, authorities and regulators, et cetera. It just really make things complicated. They come in and they regulate something that they don't understand. It cripples it, it clips its wings before it has a chance to fly.
Yeah, so there's a question. The question was, do the ICOs or some of the fanaticism that's happening, the irrational economic things, does that pull in regulators in a way that really inhibits or harms the growth of
More
this
so just your
ecosystem?
perspective on it, what do you think the impacts of it?
My perspective on it. I don't know. That's one of the big questions. One of the things that I think about is like how fast this community moves, and there's going to be a lot of misunderstandings, but it's just so early. It's such early days, right? Like Bitcoin's only 8 years old, so it's so early. Like we had the DAO hack, and like a lot of people were like, doomsday scenario with that, but we move on from it. So as long as there's fundamental value and utility from this, I think it's going to overcome any of those issues. But I can't predict that. Sure. Good question though, and it's a good thing to think about, right? We should all be thinking about these things and watching the ecosystem as it evolves. Okay, so I think I just wanted to whet your appetite with some of this high-level stuff, and hopefully if no matter where you are on your skill level and your understanding of blockchain, that maybe this has given you, has helped orient you towards this. So let's go into Prism. I'll describe what Prism is, and this will give you a more concrete example of a product that is really built as a decentralized product. Okay, so Prism is a digital asset management platform. So think crypto portfolio. Allows you to have multiple digital assets. And I'll get to that. I'll talk a lot more about that. But let's just start with what's the current state of token investing. And there's a spectrum that captures a lot of it, which is this spectrum from highly secure to highly convenient. And all of the ways that you can invest in tokens are going to fall somewhere on this spectrum. The exchanges provide a very convenient way to buy tokens. Some exchanges offer just like the highest volume tokens, but there are other exchanges that offer all of the smaller tokens. And those have a high degree of convenience because mostly you just need to log in to the exchange, you set up an account, and then deposit money into it, and you can buy and sell these tokens. So there's a lot of convenience there. The trade-off is that there's a lot of risks involved in using centralized exchanges. There's the security risk that you're trusting this exchange to keep your funds safe, right? Mt. Gox was the big example of that not being fulfilled, meeting customer obligation to the customer. So you really are trusting this central authority with your money when you use an exchange, which defeats the purpose of blockchain, right? It's kind of silly that we developed this really advanced cryptographic technology to decentralize, and then we give all of our money and data to central exchanges. So, what's that?
The story of GitHub.
The story of GitHub.
Yeah, it was meant to be decentralized.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, well, any one organization is ultimately going to, if things are controlled by a single organization, then there's risk. There's risk in that. So centralized exchanges fall on that side of convenience. And then if you go higher, if you go more on the security side, I mean, Bitcoin exists as a pseudonymous currency that if you have the private key, then you're the only one that controls it. So at a basic level, when you stick to the roots of cryptocurrency, there's a high degree of security, but this comes with its own risks. So you have full control over it. Other than coercion, you can't be forced to give it up. That's another risk of exchanges. Even if they have the best security, guess who can come along and shut them down? Governments, right? Exchanges have to comply. That's why they get all your information. They have full KYC. So exchanges, centralized exchanges, comply with the governments, and so there's risk there. There's just risk as to how a government will hold these tokens and whether it's taxes or whether it's just money transference. That's up in the air. So with private wallets, you have full security. Now the downside is that you're fully responsible for that security. How many people here, this is just a fun question for me to ask, I try not to get too much pleasure from it, but how many people here have lost Bitcoin or Ether, can't find your password? I'm sorry, my heart goes out to you. My advice for you is to don't do the math. Don't figure out how much it's worth to you. It's not, it will end with a lot of ice cream and whiskey. Okay, so you understand that having your own private wallet has the potential for being highly privatized and secure. You're not relying on these third parties, but you have full responsibility to keep your private key safe, to have secure backups. Personally, I find that with a lot of the private wallet situations, a lot of them have really great security, and then they have this backup phrase. Like, what do you do with the backup phrase then? Like, you still need to either encrypt that or have that somewhere really secure. You know, you have it on a sticky note on the side of your computer. People do these things. So does that make sense that there's these trade-offs? That we get convenience if we give up some of the security, and the higher security we have, the more responsibility it is. Right? This is a pretty fundamental trade-off. But with Bitcoin and with cryptocurrency, just the fact that we have something that can be secured by a private key and that fundamentally does not rely on centralized authority, now we have a lot more options to work with. And you're seeing that in the space right now. The last 5 years, you're seeing different products that are on different sides of security and convenience and trying to combine them. Hardware wallets like KeepKey offer really amazing security option because your private key is physically separated from the internet. And so these devices are effectively unhackable, and you just have a PIN that you memorize. So hardware wallets and technology like that is really powerful. And there's still quite a bit of responsibility that is required. And the convenience of having an exchange with multiple tokens, if you want to invest in this space, I'm glad I got to this. This is important. If you're investing in tokens, you probably want to diversify, right? Anybody who's investing seriously in this, eventually, if this is going to turn into a legitimate financial institution, then the world of cryptocurrency is going to have all the diversification and risk management tools and techniques that the traditional financial world has, right? So we're moving that direction, but has anybody tried to manage 10 plus private wallets for different tokens? We've got one person nodding vigorously, a couple others nodding with a little more like, yep, I've done that, but not many people have attempted that. So it's actually it's a challenge to, if you want to maximize the security side and not rely on the centralized exchanges, it's a huge challenge even just in logistics. You have to download all these different wallets, and unless you want to be doing that full time, you can't even just maintain a simple portfolio that's somewhat diversified. So these are the challenges that exist in the space today. Let me talk about Prism and where it fits in with all of this between centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges and private wallets. How am I doing on time? Good. So Prism allows you to invest in a portfolio of digital assets without counterparty trust. And that's just a fancy way of saying that you're not trusting someone else to control your funds with custodianship of your funds, nor are you trusting that if your portfolio goes up in value, that the other party can't default, right? That's counterparty risk, is if there's a contract and the other party says, well, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. So that's a problem. So Prism is an attempt to provide a secure means of investing in multiple currencies without counterparty trust, and I'll talk about how it does that. Find that people understand things better when you can see them. So as I describe what Prism is, I'm going to show you what it is, and so you can visually see what this looks like. So as I mentioned, Prism is in a closed beta. It is public. It's on the Live network. You can, I'll give you the address to it later, and this is what you'll see when you're creating a Prism. It's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it pretty? It's like you have all these coins, and I can't tell you, like, we're dealing with real money here, and you know what people do? They try to make the pretty Prism. Like, it's the strategies that people use when you put colors in the mix. A little questionable. So we have a beautiful user interface that allows you to design your portfolio. And so you can choose whatever tokens you'd like, you choose the percentage, and you choose how much you want to invest. And you'll notice that it's in Ether. And the reason it's in Ether is because the entire Prism system is built as a set of smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. And so it's the smart contracts that are holding your funds. So instead of a centralized exchange holding those funds and managing them and you trusting them to give you the payout, instead you have a smart contract that holds your funds, whatever you've invested, and then it holds funds from a seller that is providing collateral. So it's pretty simple. In Prism, you design your portfolio, you fund it with however much you want, whatever tokens you want, and then Shapeshift will automatically match you up with a seller that's willing to put up collateral so that if the portfolio goes up, you get the collateral. If the portfolio goes down, it's taken out of the value that you provided. Okay, so it is a market of buyers and sellers. I really like the product design of Prism because it doesn't expose all the details of that. There's no order book. You don't have to worry about that. It really is. It's much more of a end-user friendly, consumer-oriented product. You're buying a Prism. You just go on here and you design your Prism, and you buy it with Ether. You don't really have to worry about the seller side. And just for a little more information about that, that's because for the beta and beyond, Shapeshift is taking the seller side, and Shapeshift's in a great position to do that because Shapeshift handles a massive amount of volume through their exchange service, and so Shapeshift is set up to be able to take the seller position on these. As we launch, of course, in order to increase the collateral that is available, we're going to invite other sellers, and that's going to allow for some cool things like easily being able to short cryptocurrencies. That's very much on the table for Prism. But right now, it's an end-user focused experience where you basically just sign in and you get to purchase a portfolio of cryptocurrencies. And you buy it with Ether, and then the smart contract that you send it to is going to hold that Ether. So to review, you design your portfolio, you send Ether to an address, and that address is the smart contract. So I'm going to repeat this a couple times, but I want to emphasize how this is a decentralized system, because it's actually hard to see. This isn't some crazy dApp or ABI that you have to download into Mist. Like, this is just a website that you go to. So how is it possible that it's still decentralized? It's because we've created a user interface for all the interactions, but to actually engage with the contract, you still use your private key and send the Ether. So you're not sending your Ether to Shapeshift. You're not sending your Ether to a centralized exchange. You design your portfolio. Shapeshift creates the template for that contract, that smart contract, and then it's fully auditable. You could actually have a blockchain viewer, and you could look at the bytecode of where you're sending your Ether, and you could see that it matches the bytecode of the smart contract that's available, that has been shared, and that the parameters are exactly what you designed. Okay, so I just want to emphasize that. It's one of the pieces that I'm most proud of, that we created a system that from the very beginning, Shapeshift does not have your funds or control your funds. We've created a system where you can easily design a portfolio, and it's non-custodial all the way through. So even from the very beginning, you send your funds and you're sending it to a smart contract, and that smart contract is auditable and can only function the way it's been designed, which is to release those funds when you decide to sell your contract based on the value of your portfolio. So that's up to you. You get to decide when to sell. And you can trigger that sell with what's called a relay transaction. You can also trigger a rebalance, which is just changing the percentages in your portfolio or adding new coins or removing coins. That's called a rebalance. And you can do that with a relay transaction. A relay is a mechanism that allows you to trigger a function on a smart contract by sending a transaction from a normal wallet to a special address. This is a technique that we developed, hasn't been widely used in this space, something that I'm really proud of because we've lowered the barrier to entry. You don't have to download Mist and put in bytecode. As long as you can use a wallet, as long as you can use a private wallet with Ethereum, then you can use all of these different pieces of functionality on a Prism. So there's an address you send to when you're funding the Prism. There's an address you send to when you want to rebalance it. And there's an address you send to that triggers the sell. and you're just sending a transaction. It's a trick. We're using this trick to trigger a function. You don't actually have to send any ether. You can send 0 ether. You pay a little bit of gas. You send 0 ether to a unique address, and that's going to trigger that function. This is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. We're trying to lower the barrier to entry so that anybody with a private wallet can still engage with the complexity of a smart contract and still be able to benefit from a truly non-custodial contract. Let's see what the next slide is, but I might want to ask, yeah, this is what a Prism looks like when it's been created. This is our alpha. So some of the layout is off, but it looks very much like this. And you see your portfolio, you see the percentages of each one, and you see what the gain loss is. So very intuitive interface. So yeah, let's take some questions. This is the main, this is Prism, and let's see what time we have right now. It's probably around 8 o'clock. So we're going to go for another 15, 20 minutes. This is most of the content I have. And so let's jump in and be able to answer questions about Prism, answer questions.
You have about 50 questions.
So everyone has 20 seconds. No, 1 block per question. Yeah, and ask me. I've explained this system, but let me repeat things or let me fill in missing gaps. Let's start with that before you have big questions about future and third-party integrations. Let's just start with what is Prism. Do you understand it? Is there any questions about what Prism is? Yes.
So the basic concept is I would open an electronic wallet, I would build a Prism, and I would fund my Prism with funds that are in my electronic wallet. Is that?
That's right. That's right. You design your Prism on the Shapeshift, on the Prism.exchange website. You send funds from your private wallet. So you have to have Ether. You have to have Ether, and you use Ether to fund this Prism. Yep, you got it. Okay? Yes?
So when it would look is
from a practical level, you would need to convert US dollars or something like that into Ether. And then use Ether to fund the Prism, which if you buy a Prism with other currencies, now you have those other currencies effectively. Just a technical note here, the Prism doesn't have the digital assets in it. It's a contract, so you're gaining exposure. That's like the financial understanding. You're gaining exposure to those same assets. Wow, look at all these questions. Okay, yes.
Fees that you get for this service?
There is a 2.4% closing fee. That's the revenue model. That's waived for the beta. There is a maintenance fee, which is going to be set based on market conditions. So Shapeshift won't set the maintenance fee. That'll just be whatever the sellers need in order to maintain the contract. And there's no cost for creating the
But the
Prism right now.
underlying trade then also has a fee on any other exchange. So you're paying 1.4 on Coinbase plus 2.4 to you, so it's a 3-4% transaction cost to us.
I didn't follow the underlying fee thing, but for Prism, it's just going to be 2.4% on the closing as a closing fee on the value.
I think the Prism is acting as the seller, so they hold you guys are acting as the seller. You're not getting this from. You're holding the tokens and you're making it available to Prism.
But they don't have custody.
Somebody made it, it goes to the back end, you're the market maker.
You have the
Yes.
Ether in your
Yeah. But you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about whether Shapeshift's buying the tokens or not, because the smart contract is going to pay you out regardless, right? Shapeshift can't default on it. They're putting up the collateral. And as long as the prices for the coins are being fed in correctly, I didn't mention that. That's the job of the Oracle. There's a price feed. That's the Oracle. And for the beta, Shapeshift has a trusted Oracle in-house. And then after the beta, we're moving into a more trustless Oracle maintained by the community or with some possible, just like a multi-sig kind of thing that's more secure. Because those prices are critical. And the prices that feed in combined with the collateral that's put up, that's what creates the payout. Okay, it's easy for me to see people in the front. Let me go to some questions in the back. So how about back there? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you're gaining exposure.
Repeat the question.
Providing that exposure, there's got to be some kind of like edge they're working on the other end, and then like how is that functioning? Where it's just a set of parameters, and then let's say some folks come in, you have a high volume of Prism that's concentrated in a certain altcoin, right? And then there's a ton of exposure to it, and the market just drops the next day, and a bunch of people draw their money. How is Shapeshift hedging against that kind of risk when they're using parameters and not actual ownership of the currency?
Shapeshift has the infrastructure for that. So Shapeshift's in a great position to take the seller side. And I mean, I don't know what Shapeshift's like overall strategy is for holding coins, but I'm guessing that they don't want to just short the entire crypto space. So Shapeshift is going to hedge or not. It's up to them. Other sellers can choose to hedge or not. If a seller decides to fully hedge all the positions by buying the coins that they are going into contract with, then they can do that, and they can be perfectly hedged and reduce the risk there. But that's really that's like back end stuff. As a buyer, you don't need to worry about that so much.
I think what he's talking about is what is the collateral stipulations on the other end of the trade to where they can cover it? Like, what's the ratio?
Oh, the seller determines how much collateral is put up. So for the beta, Shapeshift is matching 1-to-1 collateral. So just so that we can test things out, there's enough. If you buy a 10 Ether Prism, then Shapeshift is going to put up 10 Ether so that your portfolio can double, and it can go that high. And then when we're out of beta and more collateral is being provided by other sellers, then it's basically just market conditions. It all depends. You can be like, I want a Prism with 10-to-1 collateral, and you just need to find the seller with that. So that'll all be done with the matchmaking. Yeah, okay, let's get some more questions. Yes?
So just to be clear then, is or isn't a way to turn fiat currency into?
It is not fiat.
There's
No,
no way
it's-
to tie a smart contract to like an ACH payment or something.
You may be able to build on top of it and do that, but as far as Prism is concerned, it's an Ethereum smart contract and it requires Ether to use. Yeah. Yes?
And can you use a token of Prism, for example, to buy a haircut at Gino Spots Barbershop?
So the question is this like an ETF? Yeah, like being able to have a portfolio of cryptocurrencies. We're trying to take things that are well established in the financial industry and provide these in the crypto world. So yeah, it's very similar to that. You get to design it yourself, but you can also there can also be institutions or algorithms that maintain Prisms and automatically adjust percentages. Like let's say a market cap weighted Prism. You can do stuff like that. When we release third-party API, there's going to be a lot of possibilities for doing smart prisms prisms that change, that are algorithmically driven. And as a user, you can create your own portfolio that just matches the portfolio of like an ETF. So you can effectively get ETFs that way. Right now, it's more along the lines of just a build your own portfolio. Let's see. Has anybody had their hand up for a really long time? Be honest. Be honest. Okay, good. Thank you. See, we can help each other. Be fair.
I was wondering, so right now I think Shapeshift is the market maker, but whenever you introduce it to have someone else taking the other side, will they continue to make the market, or maybe the smart contracts will be so complex to where that algorithm will do a really good job of lining people up in decentralized fashion, or will there always be a need for a market maker, and What are you thinking there won't need to be a market maker or something?
Okay, so the question is, will there always be a need for a market maker? I think that might be a little too in-depth right now.
Okay.
For the foreseeable future, up to the amount of collateral that Shapeshift has, Shapeshift will take the seller side, so there's going to be a fair amount of volume on Prism, and when we add more sellers, that's just going to increase that. We'll see kind of what the market asks for in that regard. I'm going to go to another question. Yes, right here.
The functionality that's based off like the relay transactions.
Yeah.
Are those, can those be pulled from the funds within your Prism, or do you have to have an external transfer on like your
You have to
personal
pay the
wallet?
gas in your wallet to do that transfer. Yeah, which will be something like at minimum, it'll be like 20 cents or something.
And
It
so
depends, but
in the future, when you have third-party access via an API, will that be some of the functionality? I mean, what type of functionality would you have within the API to, configure your prisms or control them?
the API will. What happened?
Anything your screensaver on?
Oh,
I'm just leaving.
there we go. Nice backdrop.
The question was about what the API will provide, and that the API, everything you see in the user interface, basically we want a programmatic way of doing that. So the API will allow you to design a portfolio, but keep in mind that the resolution of that portfolio, right, the creation of it, is still going to require sending funds from a wallet. In order for it to remain decentralized and on-chain, it's still going to require that same thing.
You have a question online if you want to answer
Yeah.
someone. The question is, if both sides of the contract are funded by ETH, does that create fractional reserve digital assets since no one is actually holding the asset like a CFD? And I don't really know what a CFD is. But certificate or yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I can repeat it, or does that make sense?
No, you don't need to repeat it.
Okay.
I don't know. I just code smart contracts. It's a different skill set, right? Like there's a whole financial world that has this stuff figured out, and we're in the Wild West. We're like re-implementing a lot of these financial tools and risk management tools, and
Can I ask a question that's related?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
not to derail you, but I think I can summarize it.
yeah, I got derailed. Help
Sorry.
me, people. You're on my side. Help
In
me.
a way that you can
help me
answer
out.
it, I think what he's asking is what happens when you reach collateralization on the contract itself? Does it close? Does it auto-close and settle? Or is it left open? Because I think what he's asking is, can it ever be left in a position where you can't physically have the funds to honor it?
So the follow-up was like, is Prism essentially just removing ETH from circulation as well? Like that was a little bit of a follow-up statement. I don't know.
Is Ethereum removing
Or
Ether?
Prism. Yeah.
Is Prism removing Ether from circulation?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, good questions. If you find out, tell me.
Lock in a smart contract.
Okay, so let's regroup here. Let's recenter. Where are we? We're trying to understand how Prism works. People are really, what I see is people are really interested to understand, like, is this useful? Is this a load of crap? You're good. Like, it's great to have those questions.
Raine, you had someone up here say, like, ultimately, like, what value is Prism adding? Maybe if you could just redefine that.
Sure. What value is Prism adding?
Yeah.
I see Prism as, remember that security versus convenience? I see Prism as another product that has different trade-offs, because your Prism is completely controlled by your Ethereum private key. So there's not a lot of ways today to invest in 50 different tokens and control that with a single private key without relying on a centralized exchange. So that's the value of Prism, is that it is hopefully giving you the convenience of being able to store multiple cryptocurrencies without that exposure to a centralized exchange. Yeah, and it's like if some aspects of Prism don't work for you, there are going to be other products that work better in some ways. But I've had the opportunity to come up and speak about Prism because it's novel and new, and it's exciting to talk about what's possible with smart contracts. So when you can manage multiple assets with a single smart contract, that's what we're hoping to provide. Yeah.
So if I have a Prism portfolio, do I actually own the underlying coin tokens?
No, you just have exposure to the price of that.
Okay, so the seller hasn't actually sold me the underlying token.
Correct.
But he's sold me the, if you will, sort of the right
Yes,
to
yeah.
the underlying. So
Yeah.
if it increases in value, he's
Yes.
obligated at the time that I liquidate my portfolio to make it good.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, do you actually own the underlying asset? And no, you just own you have exposure to that asset, but it's fully collateralized. That's what I was saying about there's no risk of default. It's fully collateralized up to however much collateral the seller has provided.
How does that work? How do you mean it's fully collateralized?
So
Shift is providing all the collateral?
Shapeshift is if you want an Ether Prism, then you spend 10 Ether, you put 10 Ether into this contract, and Shapeshift will put in 10 Ether. And so that up to 100%, the Prism can double, and if the actual value of the Prism doubles, then there's no way that Shapeshift can default on that because the funds are already there, basically being held in escrow. That exact amount is going to depend on how much collateral Shapeshift or the seller has put up.
Is Ether the collateral?
Yes. Yeah, Ether is the collateral.
And you said that Shapeshift is putting up a 1-to-1 collateral for beta?
For beta, Shapeshift is putting up 1-to-1 collateral.
But once there's other sellers, they could put up
Yeah, I
more
hope
collateral.
that, there appears to be a real interest in prisms that have a much higher upside. There's nothing in the product that limits that. It's just a matter of what sellers will agree to, how much collateral they'll put up.
Hey guys, excuse me real quick. Michael just stood up a second ago and asked us if we could keep it down. A lot of people have questions. We don't have a lot of time, so we can keep our voices down while questions are being answered. That'd be great, okay?
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we'll probably do another 10-15 minutes of Q&A, and then we'll break up into small groups. So if we keep the side discussion down to a minimum, that'd be great.
That sounds good. Yeah, question.
You mentioned that all these portfolios might be visible on the blockchain, probably in some anonymized manner. So is it possible for somebody to go and look at all of the different portfolio combinations to see what all the different derivatives essentially are?
Yeah, it's all public data. Yes.
There are a couple other competitors in the space, namely like Economy and Home that are putting out the Economy is a little more centralized, but effectively ETF style things. How do you see, or can you just talk about Prism and how it compares to those things and some of the features that it might have that separates it from like non-cord or bank-cord?
Sure. We started Prism a year and a half ago, so Economy and Melonport both sort of came after we started development, and they're probably the most similar products that are out there. So I think there are going to be other offerings. Clearly there's an interest in being able to invest in portfolios, to be able to diversify assets. So I think they have a lot to offer. We wanted to create a really end-user focused product, something that was simple and easy for end users to use, and we wanted to be first to market. So we'll see how that goes.
Also, how long is the waiting list for the beta? Or are you still like
for all of you in this room, there's no wait. We'll get you approved before you leave tonight. Yes, question there.
I just wanted to ask you, what can you tell us about the website? Is it, for example, if I'm going to do a rebalance using a replay transaction, can I have like a MetaMask wallet and you'll see the rebalance on the website? You just have like a percent from MetaMask, or how would that work?
Right. So we don't have MetaMask integration because it's all powered by your private wallet. MetaMask is great for a lot of people, and I think that's the closest that we've gotten to an intuitive user interface for these dApps. But we're not quite there yet, so we use the relay mechanism to make that possible from people's private wallet. So the question is, how does the website actually work? Is there a MetaMask integration, or how do you do these rebalances? You can go onto the website and rebalance your portfolio, and then what Shapeshift does is sends that rebalance to the blockchain in an unapproved state. And then when you send a transaction from your private key to that relay address, then as long as it's from the correct address, then it will approve it, and then the smart contract will actually execute that rebalance. Yep. So even though you're doing everything on the website, that final say is authorized from your private wallet. Yeah. Okay. See some people who have asked questions already, so maybe you can come up to me afterwards. Cool. So we have a leaderboard. So yeah, all the prisms are public, and there's actually a pretty interesting following system where you can look at people who have the highest gains, and you can follow those portfolios, and then your portfolio will actually follow them when the portfolio is rebalanced. Your portfolio will also be rebalanced. So that's all visible. For the beta, all of the portfolios are visible. In the future, there might be an option to control that either way. So in summary, Prism allows you to gain exposure to a portfolio of digital assets, and it uses smart contracts to minimize the counterparty trust, right? The smart contract controls the logic, and it is basically keeping that ether in escrow and paying out according to the prices from the oracle. And this entire portfolio can be secured with a single private key. So that's our selling point, is that there's not many ways to invest in a whole portfolio of cryptocurrencies without central control and with the simplicity of having a single private key. Okay. So, I'm a smart contract developer. I mentioned a couple times facetiously that I don't know some of the financial terms or what else is going on. It's not because I'm dumb. It's because this is my expertise and this is what I focused on. And smart contract development space is really interesting. And I think Prism is one of the more innovative products on there at the actual smart contract development level. And we'll see how Prism does as a financial product in this space. But we have our smart contract is going to be going into a public audit within the next few months, and the code will be released. And so, that's part of how we're moving towards an open beta instead of the closed beta we're in right now. So, if you're a smart contract developer and have questions about this, come let me know. Some talks I go a little bit more into the engineering side. I'm not doing that tonight, but I do have some smart contract code. This is what Solidity looks like. This is how you actually write smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. And there's some concepts that I've picked up, a lot of lessons learned doing real-world smart contract development. And if you're a smart contract developer or just a software engineer and you're curious about what's unique about smart contract development, let me know, and I can tell you about these centralized contracts, gas optimization, event logging, modular libraries. So I'm skipping over these things right now for time. This is the relay. It's actually a very pretty simple code. This demonstrates how the relay works. So these resources are here for you. And at Shapeshift, we are really invested in the token economy. And from shapeshift.io to Prism to future products, we want to put stuff out there that the crypto community is excited about and wants to use. And just going back to that initial vision of the decentralized web, we really have a chance to reinvent the web. And it doesn't have to be something that is dominated by large institutions. And there's a lot to be done. There's a lot of work to do. This is still a new space, but I really invite you to engage in the community. Obviously, from the people that came out here, there's a lot of really cool people involved in this space and a lot of excitement about it. So I want to encourage you to get involved. What will the future bring? Well, with Prism, we're going to open up the seller side, which will give unprecedented opportunity to short different cryptocurrencies and entire portfolios. We'll have different assets In fact, anything with a price feed, anything with an oracle can be in a Prism. So that's future. There's a lot of possibilities there. And we're also integrating with Rootstock so that you can fund a Prism with Bitcoin instead of Ether. That functionality is coming. So these are just some of the things you can expect in the future. Thank you very much. It's a really pleasure being here. We'll hang out. We'll probably head to the next one. Before you do anything, Michael, before you say anything, yeah, everyone. Of course, it wouldn't be fair to come here and like make you wait months and months to get into the beta. So,
hey guys, this is how you get into the beta.
We appreciate your support, and you can sign up at prism.exchange. And then what you'll need to do is you'll need to send an email within 24 hours to mail@prism.exchange. And with this subject line, and we'll get you in so that you don't have to wait. I think we had so many signups the first day when we announced at Consensus. I think we're approving like 100 people a day, and we're still not through the first week of signups. So you get to skip that whole line if you sign up. You sign up here, and just try it out. This is just another example of some of the things that are happening on the blockchain world today. So thank you very much. Look forward to talking more.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much.
Hey guys, we're going to do a raffle, so real quick.
We're giving things away. Don't leave yet.
All right. So at Shapeshift, we're super, for lack of a better term, we are batshit passionate about crypto, and it's really an honor to present this to you guys. So really appreciate it. Thank you for having us. Michael, Enrica, and everybody. Yeah, sign up here first. We'll get you set within a few days. And that said, we'll give away some prizes here.
Yeah, we've got a few prizes to give away. Maybe the Vanna White of this event here. And also, please bear with us if we say your name wrong. We're really sorry. It's hard to pronounce.
Nikolai. Nikolai.